If you're watching this video, chances are you're looking to learn how to make money with sports cards. And fortunately, you are in the right place because there's a multitude of ways of stacking upside and creating a winning formula. In this video, I'll share with you all the different types of upsides I have found so far and why I feel it is necessary to stack as many of them on top of each other as possible. Welcome back. Now let's get to work. All right, the first series of upsides have to do with the player, and number one is off season. When there's a lot of attention going towards a particular sport because it's all over ESPN and we see the games, more money is going to be focused there because more attention is there. Now, I understand the card market is booming and pretty much everything is going up, but I still feel there's going to be a bit more upside in sports that aren't going on at the moment just because you don't have that fan interest and that media attention. Number two is Hall of Fame announcement. When a player gets inducted into the Hall of Fame or it's announced that he will be in the Hall of Fame, that is going to forever finalize or seal that player's legacy. It's no longer a question if they were that good. That is now solidified. It's going to bring positive attention to that player, at least for that moment. Again, with a lot of money coming in, people are getting onto this earlier and earlier, but it's still upside. Number three, almost Hall of Fame caliber career. This is something I look at now because I want to invest in players that are almost Hall of Fame caliber if they just maintain that level of performance. If you go on websites, you can look up Hall of Fame probability and see those guys in the 50 to 70% bracket. Those are the guys that I believe still have upside, but all they have to do is continue the same pace and they'll be Hall of Famers as long as they have a couple more years left in the tank. Again, that's more of an insurance policy. They'll be in the Hall of Fame in the future, but they could win championships in the next couple of years. Here's one that's not talked about that much, a new head coach. Sometimes players butt heads with coaches. We see it all the time. Sometimes it's an offensive-minded coach coming in that will revitalize a player's career because let's say the last coach was a defensive-minded guy, like especially in football, and he didn't use the quarterback or the running back or the receiver the way that he can perform. And then you get an offensive-minded guy in there and the offense does super well. So look out for that. Ask yourself, is there an offensive-minded coach that just joined a new team? Because maybe there's a potential for a boost of the quarterback or the running back or the receiver's card values there. The next one is new complementary players. So think of a quarterback. A quarterback needs better receivers. If they get better receivers, if they get a better offensive line, if they get a better running back, that's going to help their overall win percentage in terms of how they're doing in that season. But also it could mean that they throw more touchdowns. A better offensive lineman could mean that a quarterback has a bit more time in the pocket. They could throw that 2 extra touchdowns per year, 1 less interception, whatever it is. So always look at the players around the one person because besides them going further into the playoffs and perhaps winning a championship, it could just also mean a better statistical performance as well. The next one is upcoming documentaries and movies. Now we saw The Last Dance and how that completely transformed the card market, especially for 90s stars like Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Reggie Miller, Karl Malone, and others. But think of it, documentaries are only made for very accomplished athletes or very strange incidences. So you think of Tom Brady on one end, he is getting his own 9 series documentary. I'm investing in Tom Brady anyway because I like him and he can do no wrong pretty much. But then you also have situations like Aaron Hernandez, who also has a documentary, but for the exact opposite reason. Regardless, documentaries bring a lot of attention. Colin Kaepernick is one guy I thought of. Hey, Colin Kaepernick could easily have a documentary one day. That's someone that Gary Vee has talked about, but just understand that there are other ways in the media to bring attention to a player and to bring value. Again, movies are a big one. Next summer, Space Jam is coming out with LeBron James and a couple others. That's something to look into because that's going to bring a lot of attention to those guys. Number 8, a big endorsement deal. To this day, when I think of Blake Griffin, I think of Blake Griffin in Kia commercials because he was so funny. He just had that unique personality, that really deadpan, dry look. And I don't even think of him as much of a basketball player because he made such an impression on me in those Kia commercials. So think of Chris Paul, think of the others. Usually you have to be pretty damn good at your sport to be in commercials, but when you are playing a sport and people are watching you on the court or on the field, and then the breaks to commercials and they're watching you during the breaks, that is just more attention and more likability as well. I think of guys like J.J. Watts, who's been in commercials, Peyton Manning. They've seen a boost in just likability because of these humorous roles in commercials. So look out for those endorsement deals. Next is if they are in a serious relationship with a celebrity. Think of David Beckham and Posh Spice, and Tom and Giselle, and Lamar Odom, and I think it was with one of those Kardashians. That is going to bring attention while they are playing, but it could also keep them in the limelight even after they're retired. So just always keep that in the back of their mind. Number 10, those that are currently injured and will return. Think of Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. There are a couple guys that have just been on the sidelines. No one's been talking about them. They've just been in the shadows lurking. And you know when they're back, they're going to have a huge chip on their shoulder because they have a lot to prove. People are saying you won't be able to return, you won't be as good, you won't be as fast, all these things. And that's a lot of motivation. If I was one of those guys, I would be like, I'm going to show you all I am even better than before. And whether that's true or not, just know that that is fuel that they're going to feel. And you better not sleep on these guys. So it's always a good idea. Hey, who's no one talking about because they're injured? If their cards are low, definitely look there. Number 11 is big personality. And I think of guys like Shaq and Charles Barkley and Michael Strahan. These guys are just meant to be in the limelight. And because of that, they are going to be popular for so long and for so many reasons. Michael Strahan, as I mentioned in another video, if he was a quarterback, I think his cards would have been through the roof. Tony Romo is another guy that I think he's a very likable commentator that could do this for the next 10 years with ease. Just think of being in that limelight because they just have a very good personality and you want to root for them. You want to tune in to what they have to say. They make you laugh like Charles Barkley or Shaq, where I would invest in them solely for the enjoyment I get from them off the court. Number 12 is if they are liked in the community. And I think of guys like Russell Wilson and Drew Brees and J.J. Watt and Peyton Manning and guys that are not liked in the community, like obviously Aaron Hernandez and Chad Ochocinco and Antonio Bryant that have a lot of off the field issues. You want to invest in guys that people want to collect because they want to associate with who they are on and off the field. And when you have guys with a lot of issues, if you told me you collect Aaron Hernandez cards, I would look at you a bit weird. If you told me you collect Antonio Bryant cards, I'd be like, really? That guy, isn't he kind of like a dick? So just think of the guys that people want to collect for a multitude of reasons. Number 13, and this is not talked about very much, which is players entering a contract year. There is a lot of reasons, millions and millions of reasons why they should perform very well. And that's because if they lay an egg, they may be released and just go to another team on a very low contract or a veteran minimum. But if they perform very highly, they could get a 5-year, $100 million fat contract. So the disparity is huge. They have a lot to play for. So always keep in mind who's entering a contract year, especially those rookies that are in year 4 or year 5 of the league. All right, the next series of upsides have to do with the card itself. And the first one is buying a raw card to get graded and hopefully getting a 9 and a 10. Now, a 9 will help a bit, a 10 will definitely help, but when you buy a card raw, there's only upside from there. The second thing you can do is buy a card that is graded through GMA or one of these random CMA awards or whatever it is, and crack it and then submit to PSA, BGS, or SGC and boost the value because you're getting it graded a 9 or a 10 through one of the more highly respected and socially acceptable companies. Next is to look for upcoming sets. Everyone knows Prism is hot and the prices go through the roof. That also means that there needs to be another set that follows that people with a lower budget or want to enter at a smaller price point can start buying. So that's when Hoops and Select and some of these others start to get more popular. So when you notice prices go up very highly of certain card sets, that's when you got to be like, okay, well, if this is really hot, what's next? And you go with what's next based on what you're finding. Same thing applies to individual players with their cards. When a rookie card goes through the roof, like LeBron James, you look for the next year. Maybe 2003, 2004 is just insanely high, you can't afford it, but then you go to a Prism rookie, and the Prism rookie gets way too high. Well, what's the year after that? 2013 to 2014, or you just have to go out. It's the same thing as we can't all afford to buy real estate in Tribeca in Manhattan. Some of us have to go up to the Lower East Side and different parts of Manhattan. And then some people have to go even further out to New Jersey and to Brooklyn and to Queens and to the Bronx. Same philosophy here. Number 6 is the first year of a player in a new team or a new city. So that means LeBron's first year as a Laker. That means I can't wait to get my hands on a Tom Brady in a Buccaneer uniform Prism card. These cards will be more valuable because from a collector's standpoint, this is the first year that they are taking on a challenge, a new venture, a new city, and that is meaningful. So those prices typically go up, so keep your eye out for that. Other upside include arbitrage disparity, and this is pretty much the upside of buying a card on one platform knowing it will sell for more on another. And I've been doing this a lot. I've seen cards sell for a ton on eBay and ComC that I've been getting in person or on Beckett, and it works different ways, but that's up to you. That's the upside of seeing market value high in one place, one platform that you can buy currently lower somewhere else. Other upside going forward are new relationships. As prices go up and as this gets more and more serious of a business, the relationships you build will matter, because now $1,000 card that you can get for $800 through a friend, or you can avoid the shipping and the tax, or you can negotiate a bit because you know the person, you've done them favors, they've done you favors, you've done business before. That is going to mean a lot. So always look to build relationships with people around you. Keep a good reputation, because that's another upside that can hurt you a lot if you don't pay or you send crappy cards. Number 3, motivated sellers. You can find them at garage sales, estate sales, certain people that need to liquidate because they've over leveraged and they need the money, or they just see opportunities elsewhere, so they'll give you a discount. Now, usually online, it's not very motivated, but in person, as you develop relationships, as you talk to people around, you may find people looking to just get rid of a lot where they'll do it at a steep discount for you. The last upside is you and me, and it's our skills. It's our skill set in negotiation. It's our skill set in looking at a raw card and understanding if it's gonna rate a grade of 9 or a 10 or a 7 or whatever else. It's our skill at building relationships that are mutually beneficial, and this all takes time and it all takes effort, but it comes down to us. Now, the importance of stacking upside is because we're in a very scary time. This is like uncharted waters right here, where we're seeing a lot of money being thrown around and there's a lot of speculation. People are buying cards just to list them for a higher price, and it's actually working. People are buying something today to sell tomorrow without the thought process of, why does this make sense? How many upsides are involved with this player and with this card? And without that kind of insurance policy, this can all come crumbling down and the bubble can explode. So to hedge against risk and to maximize profit potential, try and get at least 3 or 4 different types of upsides. That way you will stay safe. You will survive any valleys or plateaus that this industry and this hobby sees in the future. What do you think of this video? Let me know in the comment section below if I missed anything, what your favorite upside is. Pound the like for good luck during your next box break, and subscribe. See you later.